Well, I've been driving down to Mississippi when I come. Didn't get gas this time because I come. I fueled up on my energy still at a doo-ba-doo-ba-doo.
Solo.
Oh, boy. Oh, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? It is EV Money. It's Thursday, the second one. It's second Thursday of the month already. Welcome to EV Money. What's going on, Gabe? How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm sliding around in my car.
You know, the other day you could have slid around your car up here if you were driving in the snow bands. You could go drifting.
All right. Drifting.
That's always fun.
Yeah. It's fun if you're used to it. It's fun as long as you don't run into anything.
Yeah, that's why you just got to know where you're driving and how you're driving and how your car handles in the snow and the ice and all that. But actually, we've been pretty good this winter. I think we've gotten like less than 10 inches of snow total. So it's a lot different than last year, which was like at this time 120 inches or something between the couple of storms that we got. So it's much more welcomed. In fact, there was we had a huge storm roll through the last couple of days where it was real windy and cold and just a pain in the ass, but that's kind of going through. And now we're waiting for our next storm, which is going to be on Sunday, which is the Bills game against the Steelers. So that's going to make for an interesting game.
Winter is tough for EV drivers, I think, because it saps your range, man. It saps your range.
Yeah.
But hopefully the trips aren't as long. I don't know. Anyway, we should jump into it.
Oh yeah. So first off, before we get started, let's go over a couple of it. What's up?
It's rich. This is a rich show. It's rich. It's rich with content.
But before, let's get into a couple of announcements that we have. First off, right here on the RideShare Guy, thank you for joining. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you do. Please leave a like on the video because Gabe in the back hold on, right there, we got a passenger in the car right there. So give him a like there. That's called Gabe Jr. And what's up?
Mini Gabe.
Yeah. Pretty Gabe. Also, we have a new show coming up here on the RideShare Guy called Crossfire, and it's going to be talking about topics within the rideshare, food delivery, last mile, gig economy, and it's going to be Sergio v. Harry. So it's already kind of started. If you've ever followed either of them on Twitter or currently X, you will know there's always little Twitter battles that are going on. So we came up with the idea to make it into a show and see what everybody else's thoughts are during that show. So stay tuned for that. I believe that's going to be premiering next week. So stay tuned. That's going to be pretty cool. Not only that, if you would like to help support the channel, you could become a member, get some extra perks. There is things like early access to content. There is also a special members only live stream that Sergio and myself will be doing every month. So if you want to take part in that and help support the channel, that would be awesome. If not, no worries, but just letting you guys know. Not only that, we also have a EV Facebook group for Uber and Lyft drivers that you can join. Link is going to be in the description, so you can check that out. And also sign up. Gabe is the moderator over there, talking a lot there, and a couple of decent posts that you've had, especially with one of the topics that we're going to be talking about, which is going to be what your new vehicle is that we're going to be talking about. And to break down the show of what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about the Uber and Lyft EV bonuses, how they've changed. I know you're not happy about the one, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about this Hyundai battery and a $60,000 replacement in order to do the fix there. What the hell was going on there? Also, we're going to be talking about what car you are going to be buying. And we're going to be talking about the EV bargains for 2024, the incentives for 2024. Really, is it actually the best time to buy EV right now? Also, we're going to be talking about why the incentives are changing when it comes to Uber and Lyft. And of course, we're going to end the show on a fun little note called the AV fails, where we poke fun at the AVs going on. And for all those who are in Las Vegas at the CES show, I'm wondering if there's anything that there's going to be showing off when it comes to EV or AV related and some of the fun technology that's there. Trying to keep my eye on it. So pretty interesting to see. But what you doing, Gabe? You ready for this?
Yeah.
All
This is
right.
it's action packed. I got a lot of skin in the game, personal skin in the game this show. But
Oh, you do. You
yeah,
do. All right.
do.
So yes, as we said, that's kind of the breakdown. And again, if you want to join the EV group for Uber and Lyft drivers, or if you're thinking about becoming a Uber Lyft driver with an EV, or thinking about getting an EV, you can join the group there and
Or
get a lot of good content.
if you just or apparently a lot of people just cuz they're bored like to join the group to troll and tell me how wonderful their Camry hybrid is. Ooh. Ooh, if only I had a Camry hybrid. Oh, but that's an unattainable dream. Oh, I'd be so exciting driving my Camry hybrid,
I'm sorry. I
driving
want
to
my H2 Hummer. Vroom.
man, I got my Camry hybrid. And I turned 55 this year, so I could drive my Camry hybrid to Denny's and get the senior special where you only have to buy one egg and it's $4.99 all day long. Man,
Oh, I was gonna say, doesn't that start at like 3 in the afternoon and go to like 5?
I'll be living large, man. Ordering off that senior menu. It's all come on, it's 24/7, the senior menu at Denny's. Have
Yep.
you ever been have you not been in a Denny's? Everyone in there, it's like Cocoon in there. How's that reference too
I
old?
haven't been the only time I
Maybe.
go to Denny's is at like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning after a fun night of at the bar, and,
Mhm.
that's really the only time I've been in there for the last, I don't know, several years. So, I haven't really been there for like a breakfast or a lunch or even a dinner, but, definitely the late night drinking, enjoyments to wrap up the night is usually the Denny's stop.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm just more of a snob or if the coffee there has actually gotten worse, but man, that Denny's coffee is undrinkable. Undrinkable. Wow.
I don't know, but we had a
Anyway,
interesting shakeup coming this year. It's something that
yeah.
Sergio and I have been mentioning over on Show Me the Money Club, talking about the EV bonuses, especially the one on Uber, because that does affect more drivers since that is across the country versus the Lyft one, which is unfortunately still only in California, which is kind of stupid, in my opinion. Especially
Well,
if you want to try to attract more EV drivers, you kind of have to put more incentives out there because cost to cost, a lot of people are still looking at ICE powered vehicles versus EVs for a number of different reasons. So again, that is one of the things that they have to do is try to incentivize people. And changing the incentives is not necessarily going to be the best, but they're definitely changing that up. So, what do we got going on for us when it comes to these different EV incentives?
Uber is changing their program. They're not reducing the amount of the incentive because it's always been $4,000 a year. And I think 2023 was the first, or maybe 2022 was the first full year in the US for the EV incentives for Uber. And it's based on $1 per ride. So no matter what kind of ride it is, whether it's delivery or black, and everything in between, you get $1. Um, for Lyft, it's in California only. You get $150 after completing 50 rides in 1 week. But there is a maximum on the program, and you had until a certain date to complete it. I don't know if it was always the end of 24. It might have been, maybe it was like May 25, but I can't remember. That program also started in 2023 was the first full year for Lyft's EV bonus. Anyway, um, Uber changed it to the limit. It used to be the limit was $4,000 per year, but now it's $1,000 per quarter. So you can't like take 6 months off of Uber and kind of just pack in all your EV rides in the second half of the year.
Yeah, and
So
it's the same
think
thing, like, if you don't have a car and then you get an EV after, in October or something, it's the same thing, like, you couldn't do more than the 1,000, for that particular quarter, but the biggest thing is always look at the fine print because it's changing, so, um, there's no guarantee that after quarter two, or I'm sorry, after quarter one, that this program will continue on.
Mm.
Hopefully, it will remain in place for the drivers that are going to be taking up on the offer, because getting an extra $1,000 per quarter can be a nice little extra, especially when it comes into
Yeah,
helping pay off the car note. And like I said, with Lyft,
it's
they got to
330.
switch it. They got
Yeah,
to.
it's 333 a month, right? And that is easily will cover the difference between a gas car and electric car in terms of payments or lease payments or loan payments. Lyft did reduce the bonus. So if you're grandfathered, if you had an EV before January 1st, 2024, your bonus is going to stick to $150. Um, but if you don't buy till this year, then it's only $80 instead of 150. And it
Yeah.
seems like Lyft is, I don't know, they must just be trying to contain costs. I covered I monitored because here in California there's legislation that's going to limit the number of, or that's going to require 100% zero emissions vehicle miles on rideshare platforms by the year 2030. And so Lyft has been fighting that, and Uber have been fighting that tooth and nail, but it's law now and it's going to happen. And Lyft and Uber are just, I guess they're just hoping that someone else will pay for that electrification and they don't have to do it. I don't know what they'll do, but the way these companies are run, and Sergio has hit on this many times, they're really just looking for, what are our earnings going to be the next quarter? What are our earnings going to be? What are what's our share price going to be? Thinking about 2030 or 2040 is just way too much for these guys.
Yeah. Well, I think also the reality is by 2030 it's not going to happen because it's only 6 years away.
Yeah,
Um, and
it's impossible.
the reality is it's going to be it will be pushed back. If it's not to 20, at least 2035, 2040, it's going to be pushed back. There's no doubt about that. So
Well,
I think what they're doing is
well,
they're like, okay, well, we'll worry about it at the time we have to worry about it, but right now
yeah,
we're going to focus on what is as is. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why they've changed it. I don't know why Uber. I mean, why would you go quarter to quarter? That doesn't make any sense.
because it
But
because that would
I
that would
look.
limit it'll limit how much money people can cash out of this. That's
Yeah,
I
no, I
mean,
mean, I get that, but I mean, the reality is, let's say you are a new driver. I don't think it should be capped, but it is what it is. So either way, you're still able to get the $4,000 in a year. You just have to make sure you're doing it quarter by quarter at $1,000. But Lyft, yeah, they took it from that $150 a week and cut it almost in half. So now,
mhm,
if you actually do that $80 a week times 52, it's just over $4,000. So they're pretty much copying what Uber is doing when it comes down to their
yeah.
EV incentive. Because I
And you know
mean,
what?
let's be real. If you were able to do $8,100 on Lyft's platform as well as $4,000 to make 12,000, that's paying a good portion of your car right there when it comes to just the extra incentives there. But yeah, they're cutting that down quite a bit.
Yeah. Anyway, but I don't know. I guess the upshot is they're both crappy companies and they're cheapskates and they're greenwashing, but $8,000 is $8,000, right? I've already made $9,016 from EV bonuses in just over a year. So, and that's a significant portion of what I've earned. So,
Mhm.
I got to hand it to them. They definitely, it is definitely one of the reasons I keep driving an EV and why I'm buying another EV.
Now, let me ask you a question. If the
Oh,
incentives were not there,
hmm,
would you still buy an EV?
yeah, yeah, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, because we'll get into this, but I'm going to show you that the cheapest car you would possibly consider doing rideshare with right now is an EV.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that then in a little bit because we got a couple topics before that. But You got a pretty good breakdown coming up that from what I've seen in the show notes. So that'll be pretty interesting. But let's move on. Let's talk about this Hyundai Ionic repair. So you know the story,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
What happened?
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I
why
heard
don't
you the reason I put this on here is because you talked about it on Show Me the Money on Tuesday, and I
you?
did want to point out some kind of flaws, in how the story was reported. For one thing, it wasn't that the battery failed or that there's something wrong with the Hyundai Ioniq, right? The guy hit something on the road, and this happened in Canada, so it's not 60,000. It's like 60,000 communist dollars. It's not 60,000 real. It's not real money. It's about
Yeah, it's that fee.
40,000 US dollars. But what happened is now I offended every Canadian, but
Meh.
I don't mean it, Canadians. I love my Canadians. They're fantastic people. So nice, such nice people. Anyway, why would I be mean to nice people,
Oh,
Chris?
did you get your Tim Hortons, eh?
Yeah, right. Like coffee is so good. It's not. It's worse than Denny's coffee. But anyway, um, so they hit something on the road. They went to the dealer. The dealer looked at the underside of the car, saw that the battery compartment was punctured by some kind of road debris. And then they said, well, once the compartment is punctured, uh, the warranty is void. So we have to replace the whole thing. And it's 60,000 Canadian. And the guy freaked out. He went to his insurance company. The insurance company says, we'll just pay off the car and we're done. And that's what happened. And then Hyundai Canada came back and said this was an oversight. The dealer should have contacted us. This should never have happened. Um, it's not. It's and then this is just one dealer's quote for $60,000.
Actually, this person went to 3 different, and they all said
Oh,
the
did he?
same thing. Yep.
Okay, well, this was an
So
oversight on Hyundai
there's a couple
Canada.
of things here that are going on. One, they don't wanna do it,
No.
and they don't wanna look at it far enough. Like, here's the thing, if okay, you have the cover. I mean, that's supposed to take abuse, especially where it is. Like, you have to design it so it's supposed to take abuse because you're going to get sticks, you're going to get stones, you're going to get everything that's going to be under the car that's going to splash up under the car. And especially in Canada, where you have winters, you have frost
Mhm.
freeze cycles, your
Moose.
roads are going to have potholes and things like that. It's just
Yep.
you have to design these cars remembering that is the case. Like, it's not a little plastic cover that if it breaks something, okay, fine, then whatever. This is something where you actually have to look at that. And then the other thing is, from what I've heard on this, they didn't really take the cover off to even inspect the battery to see
No,
how it was. They should have
no, they
done
didn't.
something like that
Yeah.
first off to do it. But like this is just a wild story when it comes down to it. They're just like, oh well, we're not going to deal with it. We don't want to. We don't even want to look at it. So either they don't have the resources to be able to fix this particular issue, so they're like, yeah, we're not going to deal with it. And that's why you have the disconnect between the Hyundai dealership, which is a Hyundai certified dealership. That's
Mhm.
where they went. So we're going to make sure that we have that in there. Um, and then the other side of the coin too is it's like, well, you have the dealership and the car company that are they're at our odds against each other at this point. So now you got to figure out what's going on. But who does that leave in the middle? It leaves these type of people who
Yeah.
have the damage there, and it has these problems. And then all of a sudden, you get this giant sticker shock of, $45,000, $60,000, whether it's I don't care if it's funny money or if it's USD. Um, but in the reality, you get something like that and you're like, holy fucking shit, there's no effing way that I'm going to be able to afford something like that and deal with that, especially if it's a newer car. And how long did he have it for? It wasn't that
Yeah, I can't
it
remember.
wasn't
Not
that
long.
long.
No, it can't be that long. But I think the
So
point but I think we can both stipulate that this is the kind of horror story that happens with just about any car you could name, gas or electric. And like,
only a
like
sixty
I
thousand
pointed
dollar
out,
repair on a gas powered car.
well, I pointed out that story from Australia. I mean, if you want me to dig through and look up every outrageous car repair story I can find on the internet, I'll find you all kinds of stuff. So I guess what I'm saying is that we should tar all EVs with this one case. It's an anecdote. It's not really data making any kind of conclusion about electric vehicles. Like, it's unfortunate that happened, but that's the kind of thing that happens with expensive consumer products, right? It's most of the time people have great experiences, sometimes not so much.
Yeah. But in any event, I think these car manufacturers need to really step up how their um, undercarriage is actually presented in the event that something splashes
Yeah,
up and hurts the underside. So you're
for
not going to
sure.
be
And
always driving in 100% beautiful conditions. There's going to be shit on the road that you have to account for. I mean, how many times are you going down the highway that you see tires from blowouts and stuff like that, and
yeah,
you hit something like that, you don't realize you hear it underneath the car because the tire picks it up and smashes it. So there's all these things that are happening on the road. You have to account for it. So if that means that you have to build a stronger undercarriage to protect that, then you really need to start doing that, because the ability, or I mean, to basically say, oh, there's a little damage here, it should have protected the battery in any
mm,
circumstance. And then that way, the only thing you have to do is replace that particular um,
the cover.
problem with it, and
Yeah,
you're just replacing the cover. And
it's
what is
just
that going to
cheaper.
be? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe a few $100 at most.
Well, probably more than
I
that,
mean,
but
and it's
because it's big, it's it's EV battery is the size of a twin mattress, so it's not like it's a pretty big piece of metal. And then you have to, and then taking that cover off the battery is kind of a big deal. You got to take the whole battery out, and then you have to like remove that battery cover. That means unsealing the battery, disconnecting a lot of stuff. There must be hundreds of little screws in there. This is definitely like a day or 2 day job for a dealership. But it's very rare. This hardly ever happens, Chris. Chris, I've put over 100,000 miles on electric vehicles now, and I've never had the battery case punctured. And believe me, I have run over some shit. Like, I live in Oakland, and you think
mm.
Canada's roads are bad. Like, oh boy, we got potholes with potholes inside the pothole. So,
Oh yeah,
um,
they're like what it's like an acne. It's like a teenager with acne. They got like acne on top
yeah,
of acne on top
there's
of acne.
acne on their
It's just
acne.
the inverse on the streets of San Francisco
It's bad,
and
man. Like,
Oakland.
oh, hey. Anyway, yeah,
Well,
and there's like,
speaking of,
yeah, there's trash and crap everywhere. Anyway, yes,
well, you were
say,
talking about the nails and stuff like that, and it's funny
ugh,
because like right after, I think I texted you a screenshot, or I mean
yeah,
a picture that I took when I was walking my dog, that there was a nail on the ground, and it's like that normally does not happen. You normally don't see those types of things on the ground around here. People actually pick up when they're done, so that's a good sign. But I don't know what's going on out in California, but
yeah. It's I wish cars just had solid rubber tires, man, and then you just drive on them until they wear down, and then put new ones on. Like
yeah, right. That'd be kind of not. Or you know what? I mean, you just go
like an
in.
angle grinder.
They just take this little machine and they just grip off for new tread marks, and then that way
Oh,
you just keep going in until
I
uh,
well, truck tires get recapped. Um,
yep.
and when I was covering motorcycles, there was a company that would buy motorcycle tires, used ones, and then they had a special machine that would like melt off the old tread part and then put on new tread and then
Mhm.
seal them and then sell them as new
Yep.
tires. Not as new tires, but as recapped, and they were like half the price of new ones.
Yeah,
But
they're just yeah, there's a lot of
yeah,
things to retread
retreads, of
there,
course, yes.
but I mean,
Right.
if you have a full tire of rubber that you could just regrind after, let's say it gets down to like 3/30 seconds or something, or I mean, no, what is it? 5, what's the minimum? I can't even think of. But
Yeah.
let's say you get to the minimum, then you have this little thing that just goes in, just grooves out again, and then you're at full tire again, and you could do that. Let's say you do it 250,000 miles worth. One tire would last you your entire life of your car or
Yeah,
something.
which is
That'd be
why
kinda nice.
that would never ever happen, because how are the tire companies going to make business? They're
I
going to
know,
stay in
exactly.
business.
We've already, explained why something like that does not happen.
Yeah.
But, speaking of, you did say that you've put over 100,000 miles in EVs,
Mhm.
and you're about to put a lot more on in a new one. So you
Mm.
are selling your Bolt EV.
It's sold. It's gone, man. Carvana
It's
came.
sold, it's gone, bye-bye.
This
And,
isn't
what?
Well, this isn't a plug for Carvana, and I don't want Carvana to know how dumb I think they are because I'm going to keep selling them cars. But you tell them the condition of your car, and they come, and a guy comes with a truck and hands you a check and puts the car on the truck without looking at it or nothing, man. And then it's gone, and you cash the check and you're done. Like, you send in the release of liability. So they gave me an offer that was, they offered me 21,000, and that was kind of near the KBB, kind of the bottom end of KBB trade in for that car. But like, I put that car on Craigslist to try to get a private buyer to buy it, and nothing. The only guy who called me was a rabbi who was cousins with the local Chabad rabbi, and we just had a long conversation about being Jews, and then he never came to look at the car. And it was on Craigslist for 2 weeks, and Facebook Marketplace for 2 weeks. No one wanted that car for, because there's incentives on the new ones. So I just I just called up Carvana, and they came, gave me a check for 21 grand. All the other local dealers, no one offered me more than 17 or 18. And I'm like, okay. So that was easy. And then I can take that capital and roll it into a new car. And I did a little spreadsheet here. So those were my finalists.
So you got
Another
a
used Bolt, a first generation Bolt, which is a stunning deal. I'll talk about that more in a bit. The new Kias, or the new Ioniq 5s, which is kind of the same car. There's some important differences. I don't know if we want to get into that. I don't know if we have time to really talk about the differences between the cars. A used Mach E, a used Model Y, a new Model Y, a new Model 3, a used Model 3. And then because a guy, Mr. Roop, on our EV group, he says, "Oh, Camry hybrid, just get a Camry hybrid and you're done. It's so much cheaper, it's so much better, it's reliable, great resale value." And then I guess if you buy a Camry hybrid SE, Chris, would I have to buy a pair of plaid golf pants to
if
drive?
what? If what?
If I bought a new hybrid Camry SE, which is the cheapest one, I
You
feel
would
like I feel
if
like
you
I'd have
don't
to wear a pair of plaid golf pants to drive
well,
that
if
car.
you have the plaid, or you can wear khaki, but
Yeah,
you have to get the sweater vest
they have to be Dockers
with
too.
the hat.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Anyway,
the driving gloves.
anyway, so
Don't forget the driving gloves.
yes, little with the with the mesh on the back, right?
Mhm.
Um, but the Camry, so I crunched the numbers with all this stuff, and I don't know, my math and my assumptions and my formula are probably suspect, but this is what I used to make my decision. And one row I left off of this was the 20 grand that I'm rolling over from my last car, which in itself, I rolled that money over from a Tesla that I sold at a profit. I bought the Tesla when GM bought my Bolt back. I used the Bolt for 75,000 miles. And so it's basically 20 grand of just free money that I'm rolling into the new car. And when I do that and factor in residual value, the Model Y will, um, what am I saying here? The Model Y is basically, I'm 4 grand in the black after owning it for 3 years. So I'm like, well, why not get a Model Y? Now, if I did the same thing with the Bolt, if I bought a used Bolt, I would be 15 grand ahead, which
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm suspicious of my own math, but I'm going with it because it enables my decision. Two, what am I doing?
I think after breaking all this down and doing some good research there, or at
Yeah,
least um, some good investigation when it comes to like the incentives and things along that nature, the question though becomes the winner is
it's the. I don't, did I make another slide?
no.
Oh, I didn't. This is a
Hey,
Tesla. I'm picking up my Model Y in Long Beach tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
So
I'm
here's the
flying.
question.
Yeah.
Is it black?
No, it's gray. Because I'm not sure I want to do black, but I figure I can get it wrapped like Goodwill Connor did.
You could get it wrapped, yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why we wouldn't just gone black to begin with.
Because
Even
here's
Williams,
why. Here's
even
why.
Williams says black. Get a black one and do Lyft black.
Um, the reason why is this car is originally $50,000, right?
Mhm.
And they discounted it to 45. And
Okay.
but if I'd wanted a black one, I wouldn't have gotten a discount, and it would have been $52,000. So essentially, it would have
Okay,
been
but
$7,000 more to get
how much
black.
did it cost Will to wrap his car?
I think he spent a couple grand.
Yeah, so it's pretty much a wash at that point.
No,
Okay.
it would no. Like I said, if I wanted to buy a black Tesla Model Y long range dual motor, it would be $52,000, right? Because
Mhm.
there's hardly any of them. Tesla has discounted a lot of its inventory by like 10 or more percent. So I'm buying one of the discounted cars. It was 44.8. I don't know. What does it say? Can you show that slide again? The last
Hold
one.
on a second.
Well, here, I got it. I got it pulled up. It was 44,090 is the sticker price, is the MSRP of that, right? But if I had gotten the black one, it would have been 50. If it would have been 50 plus, because it's $2,000 extra for black, and then there's no
Mhm.
discount on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
Nice.
why I didn't buy black. But one thing I found out in this research process was that the Model Y is eligible for Uber Black, but so is the Mustang Mach-E, which
Hmm.
surprised me. Because
Okay.
it's not particularly big, it's not particularly fancy, especially the base model. So that was an interesting thing to find out.
Nice. Well, what's the type of Model Y are you getting?
The dual range long motor, the long range dual motor.
There you
Yeah,
go. So from Tesla to Bolt, back to Tesla, huh?
I know. I'm so, it's like I'm
Tesla.
bipolar. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're nice cars, so yeah, that's cool.
Life is short. People, a lot of, there seems to be two schools of thought for Uber drivers about rideshare drivers about what kind of car they want. There are the guys who are just like, it's a hair shirt, and you want just the cheapest, most utilitarian, basic car. Go find a used 2012 Prius. Go find a Camry hybrid. Just bare bones. You don't need a radio. Just you don't need air conditioning. You don't need cup holders. You don't crank windows. Like, they just want the most basic car, and that's a good strategy. Like, limit your equipment costs.
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm 54 years old, man. I want a nice car. I don't want to drive a piece of crap. I drove pieces of crap most of my adult life. I had this Alfa Romeo. I bought this Alfa Romeo 82 Alfa Romeo from a body shop once, and like, it smelled like dead raccoons, and nothing worked in the car. Like, it barely drove. I couldn't get it smogged. Like, I drove an 81 Honda Civic for several years, and we had lent it to my friend's
This is an
niece.
81 Honda. How dare you?
Like, and I mean, not for Uber, but that's a car we drove, and she was in an accident, and then she never got it fixed, and the car was like, it got hit by an SUV, and
Oh.
the car looked like a boomerang. It was so, like, kind of bent to one side, and it wouldn't go straight, and one of the wheels was like this.
Yeah, so
Like, I've
you're
driven some
watching
garbage,
you're
man.
watching it go down the street, but at an angle.
Yeah, right. So it's my time. I'm gonna buy a nice car. I don't care if
Well, you're gonna
it's
enjoy the superchargers,
yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
that'll be a lot quicker charging than the Bolt will be.
I
So
hardly ever
that's
charge
nice.
away from home, but if we want to make a road trip now, like, it's so great doing a road trip with a Tesla when you're used to driving a Bolt, because, like, I would spend a lot of money at Walmart's because the fast chargers for the bolts are always at Walmart's. So I'd go inside Walmart and like stock up on ammunition and plaid shirts and
Well,
cheese puffs.
you're gonna have to sell those plaid shirts now because you don't have the
The golf
Camry
pants.
anymore. You gotta
But
get the plaid.
you don't wear plaid
You gotta get
shirts
a
with
plaid
plaid.
sweater vest.
You don't wear plaid shirts with plaid pants, Chris. Come on, I don't know what you're doing in Buffalo.
No, khakis, and then you get the plaid sweater vest on top.
Dockers. Do you recommend Dockers or does Sears still sell Action Slacks?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I don't buy
maybe.
from there. I buy True Classic, baby, online.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a new one that I came across when I was at the gym. They play it on ESPN because they got ESPN and like a couple other things for sports and that, which is highly appreciated instead of watching The View. But when they have that on, it's like Taylor X or something like that, and it's I forget what it is. I keep meaning to put it in my phone, and basically what they do is they take measurements of your leg so you can get good custom fit jeans or pants. And that's something that I actually have to do because my calves, or I mean not my calves, my quads are getting too big for normal pants. So like slim fit, I can't fit in. I'll actually break them, which is it's a nice problem to have. But I need something that's going to be a little bit more breathable in the quad area than trying to split those pants. So
Men should not wear skinny jeans. I just don't get me started on skinny jeans, man.
Ew.
Oh God. Oh God. Ugh.
And then
Oh wait, Sergio says I'm buying a. Wait, can I read Sergio's post in Sergio's voice? What? You're buying a Tesla again for Hans? Top Model Y this time, black and black. You can do Lyft Black and make some real money. How's that?
that's what we've been talking about. So, but
Yeah,
he's not getting the black. I don't understand. He's going to say, "Oh, I'm going to wrap it." Yeah, sure, okay, you could wrap it, but again, you could just get the black, and then you don't even have to worry about it.
It would
Now,
have been
do you have
another
exact?
$7,000 plus another $700 in sales tax. So that's almost $8,000. Why don't I just wrap it? And that way I don't have to have a black car if I decide not to do this. Because for one thing, I don't like black cars. I would really feel embarrassed
I
driving.
love my black car. I
Really?
love it. I've had a couple of black cars. I love black, especially once you get it all nice and shiny after a couple of coats of wax that you put on it. There's nothing better.
Okay.
And then, we're actually looking at the paint protection, the permanent ceramic coating on it, for our car.
Oh, you got to get that True Coat.
What?
You remember the movie Fargo?
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah. Oh, you know that True Coat
movie. That was a show.
Factory. What's that?
That was a show.
Oh, the show. The movie with. Yeah.
Anyway. I don't watch. No, I've never seen that. But yeah, I mean, try. Here's the thing. You were getting some crazy bonuses from Lyft, and we were showing them on Show Me the Money Club. Mm-hmm. But then you weren't getting that many, and now once you start doing Lyft Black, you're going to be like, holy crap, why didn't I do this? Because the amount of money that you'll make from that. I mean, we've talked to plenty of black drivers, and they're insane. They're getting a ton of money when they're using their black cars for Lyft Black. Now, will it qualify for Uber Black in California?
Yes, it will for sure. But do I want to do that? Because can I tell you how much commercial insurance? I got a quote for commercial insurance. Over $12,000 a year. It's $14,000 a year is the quote I got. Now I have to go get more quotes.
So you're looking. Let's just say that's a year. So you're looking at maybe $1,000 extra in insurance a year. Oh, but the question is, huh?
Well, 1,000 extra a year?
No, I meant a month. Sorry,
a month. 1,000 extra a month. So okay, so that means that I have to make an extra $1,000 a month before it's worth it, right? And I'm
thinking you're going to be pretty surprised. I think you need to start talking to a couple of black drivers out there and seeing how they're doing. Yeah, I know Sergio can put you in touch with a few when it comes to
Mhm.
that. But um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, Lyft Black will probably be a much better uh,
Will
spot for you, no matter what.
there's Will wants me to do it. I'm gonna try. I think I'm gonna try it, but I mean, just to try it
Yeah,
is
and
going to
then
be a minimum of $4,000 to wrap the car,
well,
set up a corporation. Which you have to do that in California. You have to set up like some kind of S corp or LLC, and then
LLCs are easier.
insurance. So that's
Um,
that's that's $1,000. So I mean, the initial investment, and then to wrap the car. So the initial investment is going to be like, $5,000 to see if I
okay,
like
so
doing
that's
it.
still better than the $7,000.
Yeah.
And Tony's got a point right there. You got Uber Black. If you go the Uber Black route, you can do your own rides too. So you can do personal rides on top of that. And now you're
Yes.
cutting out Uber and Lyft completely, and you're
But
able to
wouldn't
get
you?
your own clients.
But this is a question for Goodwill Connor. But don't you feel cheapened when you have this black vehicle that you usually make 30-40 bucks a ride on, and then you're taking Uber X rides for $3.96? Doesn't that?
Well,
I don't know.
that's why you market yourself. You start with Lyft Black
Mhm.
and Uber Black, and then you start converting those people to being your clients, and you build up your own private clientele list. And
Yeah.
then that way you can go from there. I mean, look, here's the thing.
Lyft
You're going
Lyft
to
oh,
make a
wait,
lot.
I just want to make a point for Driven Dad. Lyft Black requires insurance in California, I think. So commercial insurance, just like Uber does. So I wouldn't be able to just do Lyft Black.
Okay, well, do both, and then on top of it, you get your own clients, and you can start doing that and start making even more money on top of it. So
Mm.
that's the smart way to go. I mean, if you have the opportunity there, I would be taking it. I
I
mean,
also, yeah,
that's
I do have to.
when it comes down to it. You know, do you want to work harder or do you want to work smarter? You want to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the
This
reality of
is
the situation.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree.
I
I
mean,
can also
and
use
and
it
when it
for
comes to
my
let me tell you, when it comes to business sense, you have to make or you have to spend money in order to make money.
sure.
Money just doesn't grow on trees. So you have to make the business expenses that are going to make you more money and use that to your advantage. So that's the whole thing. Yes, you can potentially use that. And you're in an area that has I'm sure a substantial black business or black wanted business when it
But
comes to
we got
Uber and Lyft Black.
sure, but we have hundreds of thousands of black drivers of Uber of limo
What's one
drivers.
more?
What's
Look
one
at
more?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tony, he's gonna get his own business this quarter.
yeah,
Smart.
yeah, maybe we'll see. I'm going to look into it, and that might be the thing that
I mean,
happens.
here's the thing though. Think about it. If you were deactivated on Uber, now that just cut off a substantial part of your income. If you are deactivated from Lyft, that just cut off your entire rideshare income. But if you have Uber and Lyft Black that you're driving on, first of all, you're going to be serving a higher clientele. You're
Mhm.
going to be making more money. But on top of it, yeah, you can use those for your private clients and build up your own list. So then that way you could have a whole day's or week's worth of private clients versus doing Uber and Lyft. And then that way, in the event something happens,
Hmm.
yeah, that little you might have three fires with rideshare. One fire goes out, you still are heating yourself.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like, yeah, but yeah, well, it's because the mic right here. So there you go.
yeah.
That's the problem with StreamYard.
I
I can
like
even
that. Well, it's also like kind of a.
hold on.
Yeah,
Here, I can take my other shoulder. No, okay. Sometimes that works. Oh, uh, uh, there we go.
it's actually pretty good.
So
It's better than Zoom. Zoom, the green screen's problematic. But anyway, all right. Well, so that's gonna be a thing. That's the thing I'll do this year. I'll try Uber Black. We'll see what's gonna happen.
yeah,
Why not?
you definitely need to, and especially if you're getting it tomorrow. Look, I'm telling you, get the car wrapped. Whatever it is, just do it because you are going to make a lot more money doing that, and I guarantee you, you'll have a much better year this coming year than the previous year.
Stephanie, can you email me Gabe at the rideshareguy.com? I'm interested in what Black Premium is, and also It's interesting that Lyft doesn't require commercial insurance in California. So I thought I read that on the Lyft site, but if you
Archie's got it. Archie's got it big. Look at that. Black drivers don't accept $3 Uber X rides. No, they don't. Because one, they know their worth. Two, they know the passenger for an
right
Uber
on.
X $3 ride versus, a $14 Uber Black ride going the same exact distance.
Yeah.
Much big difference there. He's got a big point. I wish I had Black in my area, because otherwise I would have gotten a car that would have qualified for Black. But unfortunately we don't. Now where I'm moving to, I hope I think has Black. So
You can always go into business as a limo driver and just,
true.
just
That is true.
business cards
But,
around and market yourself. And maybe you don't need Uber to be a limo driver.
Nope, you don't. But I mean, to build that clientele, yes, you will. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of people that have that type of need in this area, and that's why they really don't. But either way, now that we've discussed that, next month I'm going to hear that you've got your car wrapped and that you are taking Lyft Black, or at least on the path to doing that. So we want to make sure that is going in the positive direction. And then I want some good feedback coming from you. We've already talked to Will from Boston, what he's done. And, if you need some more information on the amount that he's making versus not, I think that can be a huge sway. So you might have to set up.
Maybe I'll just spray it with water-based paint, house paint. Just
no, get the plastic dip if you're going to do it, or just do a final graphic overlay or something like that. But do it. Talk to Will. I'm sure he'll fill you in on how much more he's continually making.
Will says use house paint. Use latex house paint. That's the way to go, man.
But let's move on. Let's talk about right now some of the best times to buy an EV if you're interested in that. And let's look at a couple of the deals that are going on that you've been putting in the works on your spreadsheet.
This just happened this week. The Ioniq 5. Holy crap. And I'll bet they do this with the EV6 starting next month, the Kia EV6. Now the Ioniq 5, probably want to know what it is. It's a really nice car. It looks smaller than it is. And it's halfway between the Bolt and a Model Y in size. But the cabin, the interior is as spacious, if not more spacious, than the Model Y. The rear seats actually adjust forward and back, so you can put bigger cargo in the trunk space. And probably the best thing about that Ioniq 5 is the charging speed. It's stunning how fast it will add 100 miles of range in under 10 minutes. I actually added 75 miles of range in 6 minutes testing the EV6, which is the same platform. And I mean, that's like the time it takes to go and get the bathroom key at the gas station and then come back out. You'll already have 60, 70, 80 miles of range. If you want to charge from 10% to 80% on an Ioniq 5 or an EV6, it's 16 minutes if you find a 350 kilowatt charger. And that's, I mean, honestly, it's so close to the time it takes to like find a gas station with the cheapest gas, pull in, pay, stick the pump in, and wait for it to fill up. Like, what's the difference? 8 minutes, 10 minutes between gas car and an EV. And once you're charged to 80% on the long range version, that's 240 miles of range. If you're driving an average of 24 miles an hour, and which is more than I drive in an hour, that's 10 hours of driving Uber. So the EV6, that Hyundai, what they call the GEMP platform, is a really good platform. It's 800 volts, and so it's kind of future proofed. So this is a car that's going to be a really good car for at least the next decade. And Hyundai has the best warranty in the automotive industry, right? 60,000 mile, 5-year bumper to bumper. and 100,000 miles, 10 years for the powertrain, including the battery. And I'm not sure that it's transferable or not, the powertrain warranty. So that is an amazing warranty. And so the best part is these cars are priced kind of expensive. The SE version with the long range battery is $46,000, I think. By the time you get the SEL with the long range rear wheel drive, you're looking at about 50 grand with
Mhm.
freight. And but the nice thing right now is that the dealers have a glut of these things on their lot, contrasted to a year ago when they were doing dealer markup and you had to get on a waiting list to get one, and you would pay way over MSRP. Well, now, and I found out yesterday that you can force the dealers down to take $2,000 off of MSRP, and then there's $7,500 in customer cash from Hyundai to make up for the lack of the IRA credit because they're not eligible for the IRA consumer credit. And then you get another $2,500 conquest cash if you have a competing electric vehicle, which I did, a Bolt. And then if you're using it for commercial use, you can also take a $7,500 tax credit when you file your taxes next year. So that was, and this, for some reason, when I made this graphic, that's for the EV6 and that little chart there on the right side. But for the Ioniq 5 SEL, total is discounts and incentives. And then you combine the Uber True Car program. Do you know about that?
Yep. Yeah, if you buy through through
Yeah.
TrueCar on the app, you get extra money off.
You get $1,000 off when you complete 100 rides, and if it's an EV, and then your utility company might or might not have extra incentives. Your state might have extra incentives. I didn't even include state incentives because I'm not eligible for them, but you can get another $2,500 from the state of California. Colorado has EV incentives, Washington, New York State, I believe. So like you're looking at almost $25,000 off the price of the car, which was
Mhm.
50. So you're getting this car for half price. Um, and then you figure the projected residual value and then the money I'm rolling over from my last car. I could have gotten this car. I don't even know how this works, but I would have been paid back $15,000. So my cost per mile for this car would have been like negative 5 cents. So um, it's basically like driving a free car around. So that Ioniq 5, it's a killer deal right now. There's hundreds of them on dealers' lots. The dealers don't like their cars sitting on their lots, so go in there, make an offer. It's a great car. I drove it. I really liked it. I just like the Tesla better. Now, the other
Mhm.
great deal is either a new or used Bolt. Um, the Bolt is a great car, and honestly, my wife still has one, and I've been driving it around, a little gray one, just like in the picture. And it's a great car. It's so much fun to drive. It's peppy, it's fast, it's quiet inside. It was really reliable. I mean, the one I had for 75,000 miles, nothing ever went wrong on that car. I didn't have to go to the dealer other than recalls, which were always just software things. And then there was that whole thing where the battery would burst into flames, but they've got that fixed. They say. So the Bolt, if you can put up with a few little foibles and you can put up with a very slow fast charge speed, that Bolt's incredible deal right now because it is one of very few cars that are eligible for the transferable EV credit. So you go in and buy a Bolt right now. If the dealer doesn't mark it up, and you know they're going to want to, so don't be afraid to walk out and go to a different dealer. But if the dealer marks it up, um, or if he doesn't mark it up, you're going to take $7,500 off the MSRP. So that car starts at 27,000 if you're happy with the base model with cloth seats, and it's so you're gonna with other incentives and the True Car discount and then also the EV incentives from Uber and Lyft, like that car's basically free. So
Mhm.
please don't tell me about how expensive EVs are. Not saying not you, Chris, but people in general. Like, that's the cheapest goddamn way to do Uber I can think of. Like, free. Like, who doesn't want a free car? And then uh, if you buy a used Bolt, there's a ton of them. And the used Bolt, and we talked about this last show, right? It's a great deal because they put new batteries in these cars. They've got a new 100,000-mile warranty, even if the car's 3 or 4 or 5 years old. And you get a $4,000 transferable credit at the dealership when you buy a used car under $25,000. Now, the sweet spot is between 14 and 25, because if you go below 14, the credit's only 30%. So 14,000 is where you're going to get the maximum credit. So that means you can buy a Bolt Premier has the leather seats and seat warmers and heated steering wheel and rear seat heat warmers. And there's even a little fold down armrest for your passengers. So they think they're in a very tiny limousine. But it's that both those cars are just stunning. If you're thinking of buying an electric vehicle, look at one of those two. If they meet your needs, like, who doesn't want a free car?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Can't complain. Tony, yes. Tony, have you sat with a couple of drivers to see if that if they're still shaving the fares for the EV credit or not? Let me know.
Yeah, we want to know about that. I don't.
Yeah, because it's hard to see. But when I go into Chicago in a month and a half, I'm going to see if I can get together with a couple of drivers and see if that incentive is still at the dollar or if they're shaving it. Because yeah, we want that fixed.
Yeah, I don't like hanging out with Uber drivers because they usually smell bad.
I don't know what you're talking about. I smell good. I
Kidding.
smell like
I'm
flowers.
kidding. Kidding. Wonderful group of people. Wonderful group of dissatisfied, angry, middle-aged men to hang out with.
Well, that's why we always say on Show Me the Money Club that you guys need to meet up with other drivers in your area and run the test to see if, yes, that same particular ride that's coming in that you're standing next to that person, are they getting the same exact amount? Are they getting 80-cent difference? Are you getting the full dollar? So that's the only way we're going to be able to know, because other than that, it's a lonely business. Nobody knows what everybody else is getting unless you do these type of comparison tests. So
And as Sergio has pointed out many times, that is how they control us. They divide us. They keep us isolated. And remember what Benjamin Franklin said: "We must hang together, or surely we will hang separately."
yep.
Anyway,
All right, so let's go to the next. You gotten some more money.
Yeah, so explaining the difference between, because now it's 2024 and there's some changes in these Inflation Reduction Act tax credits, but a couple of these things are really not talked about in the media very much. And the first thing is very few cars are eligible for that EV for the credit, because that's in the background there. That's a rare earth metal mine in China. You can see on there that water in there, like I imagine, would dissolve if you swam.
Are they getting? I'm assuming that's for lithium.
Lithium is not a rare earth metal. Lithium is a salt that you get from brine.
Yeah, but aren't they making that, or aren't they mining for lithium too, or is it just all cobalt?
The stuff that's really hard to get is the things like cobalt. Yeah. And you have to just strip a lot of ore, because rare earth metals aren't really that rare. They're actually everywhere, but they're in very small concentrations. So you have to get a lot of ore to get a pound or two of cobalt, So lithium is almost everywhere. It's number 3 on the atomic on the chart, on the the table of elements, but it's found in the most abundance on the seas, where there were on the beds of ancient lakes and oceans, right? So in big deserts, they have to go and they dig way down and they find the brine water the brine that's like the groundwater, like really concentrated salty water, and that's where the lithium comes from. And so it usually involves some environmental damage extracting that brine.
Yep.
Anyway, if you're in a country that has laws and government and respect for workers and a respect for environment, respect for democratic processes, you can do it in an environmentally responsible manner. If you're the Chinese government, you don't really care about that. That's not one of your priorities. So Congress, when they wrote the IRA, they made sure that we wouldn't be subsidizing raw materials coming from questionable countries, what they call foreign entities of concern. And
Mhm.
China is probably the big one. And that is where the huge, great majority of not just raw materials for batteries, but also finished batteries and battery related components are coming from China also. So that's a no-no if you're going to buy a new car for personal use. But if you're going to buy a new vehicle for commercial use, and gig work is commercial use, and the car is under 12,000 pounds, I wrote 8,000, but I think it's actually 12 or 14,000 pounds, you do get a non-refundable tax credit. And remember, this is not tax advice. Talk to your accountant or a tax professional. But there's no requirement for battery materials or nation of assembly or any of that stuff for the commercial credit. So if your car could be made on the moon, it could be made in China, communist China. It could be a Nazi car if there's such a thing, and you'll still be able to claim that EV credit for commercial use. So that's the thing. So with the if you buy that Ioniq 5, it's not eligible for the tax credit because they're built in Korea, but you can get all those bonuses and incentives that Hyundai and that Hyundai and like Uber and TrueCar, all that other stuff. But you can also double dip and add the commercial tax credit on top. So the discount is actually like it could be almost $30,000. So
Mhm.
that's a nice thing. And you can buy any car. It doesn't matter how much it costs. There's no caps or limitations the way it is for the consumer credit.
Now, my question though is when it comes to commercial, does it have to be primarily commercial or partial commercial or what? Because a lot of
That's
drivers are doing
yeah,
both.
yeah. That's an awesome question, and it's a good point. I'm glad you asked because it is it's based on what percentage your car is used for commercial use. So yeah. So if you put 30,000 miles on your car in 2024 and 28,000 were doing rideshare, then it's whatever 28 divided by 30 is, right? 91%. So you'd get 91% of that $7,500. Yes.
Okay. So that's good to know there when it comes down to that type of thing. And
But
then you got the 4,000 for your used EVs, but that's only once every 3 years, and it's got to be at least 2,000 years old or under 25 and under $25,000. And then don't forget about state incentives, utility incentives, local Uber True Car,
so
and
much,
extra
so
bonuses
many
there.
things. There's some in some places there are literally hundreds of programs available to electric vehicle drivers. And so just Google EV incentives, and there's a bunch of websites that will point you to find all of them. And it's even stuff that like it can vary by zip code in California. Like there's a $12,000 program if you trade in a gasoline car for the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, and but it's by zip code, and I am like 700 feet from living in the right zip code, but I'm not for some reason.
Oh,
So
those bastards.
it really is that granular. So so check it out. There might even be stuff that if you bought a car like a year ago, that you might be able to apply for it now and get that money. So I encourage everyone watching this to go and find out if there's a rebate or incentive or something that you might have missed out on before.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then let's talk about our EV
Yay!
fails.
Oh, these
So
guys.
Tesla had a recall, which, let's be real, is not really, or it's an OTA update.
It
That's what
is.
it comes down to. But the news would have you sway the other way. So there is that. It's just an OTA. Did that OTA update come out yet? Pretty sure.
Yes, it
Yeah.
did. And it's hilarious because all it does is just put bigger warnings on your screen that full self-driving is not really full self-driving. And then it also it increases the monitoring. So there's a camera looking at you right under your rearview mirror when you're driving a Tesla, and it's like watching your eyes to make sure that you're paying attention to the road and that you have your
Yeah.
hand on the wheel. And I'm like, what's the point? What's the point of full self-driving? Like, it's weird. It's like I would feel like my mom when she was teaching me how to drive. Like
Mhm.
she would just like sit there and like just stare at me and like and be all tense. Like I don't know what the point of paying $12,000 to like pretend your car is driving itself. I don't. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. But of course, there's people that use full self driving and like full self driving, use it to get tips and whatnot, and so they whatever. Oh, look at
Yeah, well,
this from the point from the last. Got 12.
true. Yeah,
Yep.
12,000. Nice. There you go.
He got a Model Y for
12,500. Yeah.
$16,000.
Whew.
Like, tell me a
That
Camry.
you can't.
Now tell me, Mr. Roop, that your Camry is a better deal. I mean, come on. And you're I get to pay $400. I know, right? Texas. Yeah, well, you don't have to live in Texas, Melvin. You can move. It's
Yeah,
not like Russia.
and that's the
They won't
you
keep
could have
you away.
moved 700 feet too.
Yeah.
You're
There might
12,000.
but yeah, some
But
states not as good for EV incentives. Cruise offered $75,000 to the DMV to settle their probe into any wrongdoing that they did in the incident
I
surrounding
hope,
the woman that
I
got
hope,
dragged. What's that?
yes, and I hope that does not get accepted.
Yeah, no, they really need to be put through the ringer. 75 grand, it's kind of insulting.
Yeah.
they're like, hey, you go buy yourself something nice. We there's
So
nothing to see here, boys.
yeah,
Like,
I think the biggest thing is that the state needs to come back and say, "No, sorry, not going to happen." They need to put them through the ringer for sure. And then um, I love the complete crumbling of Cruise. I mean, there's no better cherry on top than what's been happening the last couple of months with Cruise and um, all their layoffs. Kyle Vogt leaving, all these things. Especially we're like a month earlier, he's like, "Oh, we're gonna 10x, 10x, 10x."
no,
No, you're gonna be multiplying all that 10x and by zero, which means you're going back down to zero, and that's exactly where they are. So, um, you know, that's good to see. Now we just need to figure out this Waymo crap, which unfortunately they're kind of flying under the radar at the moment. But we need some people to start paying attention to these Waymos out there too, and hopefully they
well,
can
they're out there.
themselves.
They're out there in San Francisco. I don't see the Waymos driving around empty as much as I see the cruises, but you do see them. They are out
Mhm.
there, and Waymo is reporting that their ridership is up, and they're transporting a lot of people. Now, the experience of taking a Waymo from one end of San Francisco to the other is when I read accounts of people who do it, and maybe I should go do it. Um, when I read accounts of people that use Waymo, it takes twice as long. It's more expensive than using Uber or
Oh
Lyft.
yeah.
You have to wait longer for the car to show up. Sometimes the car will park across the street and you have to go like run across the street to get in this car. And boy, and I know everyone watching has heard a complaint from a passenger that you didn't pull up right like inches from them, that they had to walk like, oh, you made me walk 14 feet.
Oh, boo fucking who, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Yeah, I think, I mean, Waymo right now, because they're flying under the radar, they might get more in, but something big happens and they're just going to be um, done just like Cruise has been. So
Um,
all it's going to take is a couple of
I feel
highly
like
notable
Google
things
has a
to
little.
happen.
I feel like Google has a little more intestinal fortitude than GM in terms of taking risks with technology. So we'll see. And the fact that Google is still in it, and still developing this is, I don't know, either Google is very stubborn or Google knows something we don't know. Which, since it's
Well,
Google, might be
either
possible.
way, let's be real. Full like self-driving AVs are just at the infancy. They're not going to be still. I would say, it's going to take at least 10 years, if not longer, um, for it to actually be a true mainstay in areas. Just because there's still so much that needs to be addressed when it comes to that type of stuff. So I don't see it at all coming out of its infancy for at least another decade, and
Yeah.
probably pushing it to the mainstay even longer than that. So I am going to see that, or I'm going to say, we really don't have anything to worry about in the near future. The only thing that we'd have to worry about, like driving Uber and Lyft, is the a massive amount of people that are on the platform right now. Hopefully with ebbs and flows, we had nobody driving in 2020 because of the pandemic. With uh, everything coming back in 21 and 22, you had a huge driver shortage. And now we're seeing a massive influx where there's way too many drivers for the amount of rides on the road. So that's going to be the biggest thing, right? And that's the current thing. And I think that's what most drivers are going to see, no matter where they are.
Yeah.
Um, they're just seeing that. And I think the biggest thing is that's where, this is the type where, again, you got to work smarter, not harder, when it
Right.
comes down to what you can. So if
That's
that includes adding, food delivery instead of just doing rideshare, and trust me, I am not a fan of food delivery in the least. I've had sour tastes when it came to Uber Eats when it first came into my market.
right.
And the only reason why I did Uber Eats was because they were offering like $3, $4 plus incentives every single time I was doing a delivery, or it was slow or something. So I was making some extra money at that point. But sitting in McDonald's parking lot for 20 minutes waiting for an order was like, nope, not going to happen. Exactly. So like those types of things. But
Oh, but
at this
the
point,
smell, you
that's
get
where
to
you might
smell
have to go.
McDonald's.
What's up?
You get to smell McDonald's for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just inhaling
Oh,
that
thanks.
that rich
Oh,
allure of
I
the
if
french
if I
fries.
saw a McDonald's order coming in, I'm like, decline, decline, decline. But
There, I'm telling you, if I did a McDonald's order, there is no way I would not eat at least 6 of those french fries in that bag. There's no
don't say
fucking
that.
way
Don't
I'm
say
gonna eat
that.
those french fries because they're, for one thing, they're only good when they're hot. So, and they're not going to be hot by the time the passenger gets them. So somebody might as well enjoy those the way they're supposed to be, right?
Well, they're definitely gonna sit there a lot longer if there's no tip on the ride and it comes in
Oh,
at, the $1.50 or the $2 or something that they're putting base fares at now,
yeah.
when it comes down to it. So they're gonna be sitting there. If you see like $7 or $8 for that, you might get it picked up a little earlier and it might be a little warm, but it's definitely not gonna be hot. So either
Right.
way. All right. Anything more there, bud?
I mean, there's always more, but it's time for lunch.
Yep. All right. Well, again, thank you for joining. If you are somebody who is thinking about being an EV driver or is, check out the Facebook group. Again, link is going to be in the description below. Make sure you stay tuned for Crossfire coming very soon with Sergio and
Can't
Harry.
wait.
Show Me the Money Club live Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific with myself and Sergio. And with that being said, we'll see you guys next month on EV Money.
Thanks so much.